So I've had the privilege of living amongst a lot of different communities in my recovery, which has gone on for about 17 years now, 17 years sober. And, whether that's the treatment community, I'm an assistant rabbi, so the Jewish community and that religious community, and a lot of spiritual communities. So whether that's kind of Eastern tradition or Western tradition, or just healing spiritual communities, I've been a part of them. And one thing that I've learned in being a person who's walked in a lot of different types of community, and sometimes think about myself as somebody that's not committed to any one, but I'm able to walk amongst many, is the lack of integrity in a lot of spiritual communities. And I think it's pretty understandable, actually, why that is. First of all, in a spiritual community, you're drawn in. There's something seductive about spiritual people. And so you're drawn into, kind of what's the secret that they know? What's the secret of their compassion? And often spiritual communities can be quite welcoming and they can be very deep. But if you think about it, much like certain types of religious communities, spiritual communities are often attracting people who are going through a moment of their life of brokenness. Generally when somebody's seeking out a spiritual community, they're seeking something out, meaning something's missing in my life. So I'm going in, with some shadow stuff going on, or some shame wounds going on, or some broken stuff going on that I'm trying to work on. And often I think what can happen is a person can have a massive amount of transformation within a spiritual community, but it could also result in what they call spiritual bypass, which means when it comes to certain domains of operation, they're not whole, let's call it. So, like a rule for me is generally I try not to do business with spiritual people. If I want to do business, I like to do business with business people. Because in the area of business, those people know, they know the language, they know, how to think about it, and they're not mixing, apples and oranges. And sometimes that's also true with morality. So it's not uncommon in spiritual communities to find kind of a guru who is morally split, we call it, meaning their moral compass is somewhat off. And they might even be spiritually powerful. I think that's so confusing. How could somebody be so spiritually powerful but so morally inept? And I think that just has to do with the nature of power. That a person can be spiritually powerful, but how you utilize your power always has to do with where you're at in your own work and your own development. And although you might have a very high level of spiritual development, you might have a lower level of moral development. So because of that fact, I'm always cautious of the ways in which I relate to, frankly, all communities, but spiritual communities specifically.